know, it's crazy. Like thinking about the transition from being a cover band to being an all original band was a long fucking journey.
It was a super long journey. A lot of people don't realize, and I read comments occasionally, like, there's always people that are like, want you to fail, right? So there's other people, and when sometimes those people say like, oh, they're finally done now, this record sucks. Like, and I always feel like saying, oh yeah, we'll just go back to being a cover band. Because we were actually a really good cover band.
One of the best.
We were really good.
One of the best.
We were really good.
Like, our day job before we put records out, and a lot of people around the world don't know this, we were doing so well as a cover band that we had like dozens of cover bands trying to do what we were doing. We did covers for so many years, and we were so good at it, and it was a blast because all that stuff is stuff that we literally grew up, listening to.
Yeah.
And it really is the foundation of who we are as musicians. So making that transition to an original band, it wasn't the hardest thing was actually being successful as a cover band already, because then
and taking a pay cut to be an original band.
Yeah. Then whenever you play an original song, you got 1,000 people at your cover gig, and they're like, what's it called? Asian Hooker? I don't know. But the good thing is, I think we were able to when we first started doing original stuff, we actually sold it from the stage at first, and people bought it immediately because they wanted to hear what it was like.
Yeah, the actual CD from the stage.
Sold CDs, and then I think the great thing is like everybody came to the shows after listening to it in their car for fucking
we knew it
a week, and they were like, fuck, I want to hear that song Asian Hooker or Fat Girl.
The crazy part was that, I think all of us separately, before we even knew each other, we were all in bands growing up, all in bands. And the whole goal back in the day was to get a record deal, get a record deal, get a record. And, you'd be in bands, you'd submit stuff to a record label, to an attorney, and try and get all the, that was the golden ring, right?
Yeah.
And then we started doing covers, and then Universal Records, Monty Lipman and Avery, come knocking on our door. And because they heard that there was a scene going on in LA, and we're like, all right, that's cool. But we had no desire to get a record deal because we were doing just fine, more than fine. But they came, they saw what was happening. They offered us a 4-album deal. Thank you, a 4-album record deal, and we had to think about it. And we ended up doing 2 records for them, and it was a great experience. But I remember specifically being up in Canada. And this was
that's so funny you bring that, because that's what I was thinking about too.
At the Commodore Ballroom.
Yeah, Commodore
Ballroom. It was this transitional period for us where our original record was out, but we were doing cover stuff at our residency still, and now we're doing this weird hybrid, and we would have discussions. What are we going to do? Is this a cover show? Is this an original show?
Yeah, we got booked. We just got booked, and we weren't sure what we got booked for. So we're like, our agent, what did we get booked for? Because you just play whatever you want.
There was no
what are we gonna play?
Yeah, there was no clarity. And I remember we were at the Commodore Ballroom in Vancouver. We were doing 2 nights in a row. We came out and we opened, I think, with Eyes of a Panther, into Asian Hooker, and the 4th song that we did was Living on a Prayer.
Living on a Prayer. And the reason why we did that is because we're thinking, well, we're popular already, and a lot of the reason why we were popular as a cover band was, there'd be people like Kelly Clarkson that would get on stage, and those videos would go viral because I think YouTube had been out for a few years.
Yeah.
And so we're thinking, well, a lot of people around the world might know that we're good at covers too, so let's do some covers. But
when I remember going into the intro for Living on a Prayer.
By the way, that song, Living on a Prayer, to me is like, it always wins the whole
That was automatic.
That's automatic. This is gonna do it.
Dude, in Lexi Fox starts playing the bass intro, and all of a sudden the vibe, it was killer, and that song comes on, we start playing it, and the fucking vibe just went boom. And I remember playing it going, this is like, it was a moment where I went, this is that moment where I
done.
felt like we were gonna all decide to lean into originals all the time, for the most part. We still will blast out a cover if somebody's in the room, but
yeah, well, we've got that in our back pocket. We can play Living on a Prayer great.
Yeah, we could do it.
I could do it right now if I wanted to.
Do you want it?
If I wanted to right now, I could fucking shred a Sambora solo.
Dude, I could Tico Torres the shit out of that song.
I'll just tell you this: the transition from cover band to original band was financially scary because we were making enough money to do whatever the fuck we wanted, live where we wanted, and then we got signed.
I had a brand new Hyundai.
He did.
It was sick, dude.
And a killer apartment. And then we got a tour in Europe, and I remember we all asked, hey, how much are we going to get paid for the tour? And they said, nothing.
Well, do you? So
like, nothing?
We got offered.
Well, that was just the UK, right?
I can't remember that one specifically. I remember we got offered a tour opening for a band. And we're like, okay, well, what's the offer? We didn't know
that world,
the climate. Like we didn't know how much you get offered as an opening band, and we were gonna leave. We were gonna leave our cover gigs to go on tour, and it was like for $500 a show, and I'm not knocking anybody working for $500 a show. It's great if you can make a fucking dollar. That's great. But for us, it was definitely different than what we were getting used to be.
You can't pay your Hyundai payment with that.
No.
You got people working for the record company. They're like, don't worry, you're only going to come home $100,000 in debt.
Just $100K. But yeah, and so we had to say no to some things.
We said no. We stood. You know what? We drew a line right in the sand and said, nope.
Yeah, we said find some money and we'll go do it.
Right here, we just said drew that line, and then later we just walked right over it.
Yep, and we sold out.
And we went on tour, and it was the greatest decision we ever made. We invested in ourselves. We lost money. We went out and we invested, and look where we're at right now.
I'm still driving the same Hyundai.
But it's paid off. It just got paid off last year.
Let's make some noise for that. Come on. Yeah. Woo! Paid off cars.